where does the line sort of stand in terms of productivity, right? So going off the ideas of self-deception, ego depletion, all these things, where exactly do we fall in that line on productivity?
Yeah, I mean, this has been a long-standing issue for me because I think that one of the things that really got me involved in this kind of area of research was the downside of people who really struggle with like procrastination, people
Yeah.
who really have a difficulty being able to achieve what they want to, and then how does that affect you? Because most of us in psychology sort of think that self-esteem is all wrapped up in you and what you do. And so, if we're successful and stuff, then we feel good about ourselves. But if we
Mhm.
fail, it really is a blow to our self-esteem, and it's hard to feel good about ourselves. And so we judge ourselves again relative to other people, but also in terms of objective standards, like are we meeting whatever the criteria we need to? And so that idea of like, how productive do I need to be? Everybody's got different standards. So we have to think first about like, what standards are we trying to achieve? And one of the things we know that's dangerous is that some of us get roped into sort of trying to achieve things that are unrealistic standards. So we all fear, like with weight particularly. I mean, what are we seeing in terms of people that are supposed to look good,
Yeah.
right? And, is that really what standard we should be trying to live up to? So, we think about, why do people have eating disorders, right? I mean, that may be a situation because some of those standards that they're trying to live up to are unrealistic and they aren't even healthy, right? And yet that's what we see as being like what we should strive to. And I think a lot of people criticize Americans that we work way too hard and we don't recreate enough, right, compared to other people in the rest of the world. And so it's like, if you're not working 80 hours in your job or 90 hours, or you're not getting this amount of productivity done, you're slacking relative to somebody else. And so, are those standards we really want, or are we getting roped into some standards that somebody convinces us are what we should be doing, which may not be actually for our physical and or mental health the good things that we should be using as those standards?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother issue, and I haven't
Mhm.
really gone into that, but I think that's something that we know we have to think about before we
Also, yeah,
move on.
I'd love for you to expand on it, because one of the problems I had when I was younger is I look at someone like Elon Musk, someone like Thomas
Right,
Edison,
right.
like if they worked 100 hours a week, sure, I could do it too, right? But yeah, what does the research say about, well, whether that's possible?
Well, I mean, again, standards are a great thing because, as you said, we look to other people and we're trying to decide, kind of, and judging ourselves and what we should be doing and stuff. I mean, if other people are doing it, we are very much social beings. We care about everybody else, and so people help inform us about what the standards are out there. And if everybody's studying, or if everybody's doing this much, or everybody's involved in 6 extracurricular activities, I guess I should be too, because I want to be a competitive on my resume, or I should be doing, all these other things too. And so that can be a great thing because it makes us think about other kinds of things that we might not have thought about if we weren't looking and comparing ourselves to others. But I think that the danger, of course, is whether we choose, standards of comparison that are really self-defeating. So, I mean, those of us that play basketball like ourselves, I mean, if we want to think we're going to be able to play as well as Michael Jordan or Kevin Durant or
Mhm.
something like that, I mean, we're going to say like, I mean, I'm not making this level of performance. I can't jump like this. I can't do these things and stuff. And so, should I just give up, right, or whatever, or do I see it as sort of something to aspire to, that I can keep getting better? And so, one of the things that's been really interesting that we found a lot in psychology is that when people pick, like, particularly people that they're aspiring to be like,
Mhm.
so this can happen in sports, when you were in camps and stuff like that, when they'd have somebody come back and talk to you who was a successful player, or if we have people who are alums come back and talk to us about the things that they've been doing in their careers with the same degree that we have, from our institution and stuff like that. Those can be really inspiring stories because they did it, and they did it through a mechanism just like us. They're in the same program, they did these same things. But then the thing could be like, what were they doing at my point in time, and what does my resume look like compared to them, or what are my abilities at this point compared to what they were doing at the same point in time? And that could be like, what I mean, I'll never be that, right? So we find that a lot of it is based on not only choosing those standards, but the idea is when you look at kind of who they are and how they do things, what did it take for them to get there? And
Mm,
what's really interesting about the messages that people send, and they found this is really important for people who play that mentorship kind of role, is to communicate to people that, I guess what I would say is that there are different ways in which success happens, and that some of us subscribe to a view which we would call, in the words of a woman named Carol Dweck and her colleagues, a kind of what they call an entity view, which some people have it and some people don't. And so it's like, if you're one of the people who have these abilities, you'll be successful. But if you don't, there's not a lot you can do to change it. Whereas other people subscribe to a view which she calls an incremental theory or a growth mindset, which is if you work at it, you can get better and you can see improvement. And so if you buy the kind of growth mindset, and we've heard a lot about growth mindset and culture recently, because I think it's her views have really taken off, and she's written a book called Mindset, and it's getting a lot of play, especially in educational systems, is that how valuable it is to believe that you can change, right? And that think people can grow and people can get better, and that no matter where you start, you can still master things. So like, I don't get math. I'm just not a math person or something. It's like, yeah, but you can get it, right? I mean, it may take you a little longer, right? But if you work at this, you're going to master it, right? It isn't something, or foreign language or any number of things. If you buy the growth mindset that I can finally get this, it's not like, well, there's some people who are out there that are these kind of people, and there's some of people who are these, and I'm not one of them, so I can't do anything to change it. That's demoralizing for many of us, because
yeah.
we have to do those things. We have to admit, I'm deficient, right? Versus I can get there. And so that's supposedly one of the reasons why people really lauded Michael Jordan. Was he, remember one of the things, and if anybody watched The Last Dance and stuff, is that he got cut in high school.
Yep.
All of us can relate. Can you think like, there's no way, right? I mean, this guy had to be the best player in his team at all points. There was a point where he got cut. And of course, what did he do? He worked so hard after that, because it's hurt him so much, because he had an older brother that was good and he wasn't able to be on the team, and blah, 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 blah. And so it's just like he worked harder than anybody else and said, I'm not going to accept defeat. Like, I've got to work harder than anybody else to do it. And we think, no, he didn't have to work hard. He was just gifted, right? No, he had to work hard. And he really wanted to make that message clear to people, that it's like, I didn't just get this, right? I mean, I really worked at it. And if you really work hard, really want it,
Yeah.
you can make things happen. And so that's a much more inspiring story than like, look at what God gave me. And so like, I've been able to do this since I was 5. And
Yeah.
so, you know, love
That's
me, but I mean, you're never going to be me, so.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I guess I struggle with when I was younger. You look at you look at someone like Elon Musk, Thomas Edison, and you're like, okay, they worked 90 hours a week and they were productive and they were getting things done, workaholics, and they're legends, right? Legends in the public eye.
Right.
And you ask the question, it's like, yeah, but did they did they work to become legends, or were they just naturally legends? And that's one of the things that I guess I guess is a big question, right? A big question is, are all people, for example, let's say if you have the same motivational strategies as Elon Musk, can you get to the level of Elon Musk, or is he some form of superhuman? Like, do I the real underlying question is, do I have a limit, right? Do I have a limit, or
Yeah.
or is there some cap for me, like 60 hours, 70 hours, 40 hours, whatever? And I think that's one of the questions that.
Yeah, and I don't think we really have an answer to that. I mean, obviously within reason,
Mhm.
people can improve at a lot of things. And
Yeah.
so you can see development, you can see that. Now, how much things require just complete inspiration, or how much things are basically just the right place at the right time, serendipitous kind of things, how many things did Edison try before he finally got the filament that worked in a light bulb, right? He tried 500 different things, or whatever the stories are and stuff. So he failed, but he kept doing it, right? And he probably had some insights in terms of at least something that, well, and I could try this, and it was probably at least an educated hunch, not just randomly trying anything that he had available or whatever. But yeah, I think there's with a lot of things, we sort of believe things are probably a combination of different things. But I think too often, I think the reason why this growth mindset work has been so appealing recently is just that I think many people err on the side of giving up too quickly
Yeah.
and ascribing to the fixed mindset. And so they, and I guess the other thing is, what do you use as your metric for success? To see myself improve and to see myself show some mastery of things, as opposed to I have to be the best, right? I mean, because sometimes, again, I think we can set these unrealistic standards and stuff. And yeah, if you want to work that hard at something and you need to be the absolute best, you will have to do it. But the amount of effort you're going to have to put in there, you're going to really have to sacrifice everything to get there. And are
Yeah.
you really willing to do that or not? Or do you just want to be able to say, I've been able to master something that was hard for me, but I take a lot of pride and accomplishment that I did it, right? I mean, I still made this happen. You know, you wrote a book. Like, who in the hell does that, right? I mean, so to just have the accomplishment of completing that, right? I mean, that takes a lot of determination. You know, you're going to be having moments where you probably question, should I be doing this, or is this working, and stuff like that. I'm struggling with, no, but I mean, you keep persisting at it, and there's a real sense of accomplishment in that. I mean, just seeing the progress and stuff.